Hello and welcome back to another video, my fellow commandants. Today we'll be going over the S-rank masochist Lilith Daemonissa. We'll be going over the special way to obtain her, then her kit, rotations, memories, teams, and investment priority. So, before we begin, if you'd like to see this kind of content, then leave a like and subscribe and hit the notification bell to be notified of whenever I drop a new video. Now on to the guide. Lilith is a special case when it comes to getting her. She has a unique banner, one that is permanent and one that's limited time only. The permanent one has missions you can do to obtain insatiable regular R&D tickets, which you can use to exchange for everything that is in her research banner. Now you can exchange for limited time R&D tickets using event R&D tickets, aka orange tickets. However, I really don't recommend you do this since that costs more currency. Lilith will also be obtainable via the voucher shop if you want to further her rank via vouchers and obtain that sweet S amplifier passive. Now inside this banner you can get one copy of her, one copy of her weapon, and one copy of her cup. So there will be no excuse to not use her signature weapon, and I will be assuming that all of you have it. That said, if you're going to pull extra copies to get to a higher rank, then note that you can get some pretty good stuff, as pulling on it will give you currency to get a 6-star weapon USBs, some memory USBs, and a coating for Lilith. Now it's important that you guys pull the free copy first and then buy the shards, as this will give you double S. On a final note, unlike most banners, Lilith's special limited time banner is actually discounted, only costing 2,000 R&D tickets for a 10 pull or 200 for one. Alright, let's give a quick breakdown of Lilith's kit before we go over her rotation. Lilith has two states, her normal state, and will only have blue orbs available. Using her first signature move, we'll have her enter her crazy gamble state, where her blue orbs pinged will turn into yellow orbs. She also gains a special red orb that can be pinged after pinging yellow orbs. Finally, her second signature move will deal a great chunk of damage and send her back to her normal state. Now Lilith is going to have two different rotations, one for dark and one for her effect, ionization. Just like Ishmael, she needs deadline timing if you want to get out another rotation for every time she's out on the field. Now regardless, you have access to her signature weapon, don't pretend you don't, that thing was free, so her dark rotation will go as follows. Switch in. Blue orb, first signature move, yellow orb, red orb, yellow orb, red orb. Second signature move. Now if you have deadline timing, you'll perform this rotation twice before swapping out. Now it's important to note that much like Watanabe Epitaph, trying to fill up all 5 stacks is going to cost you more time than it's worth, which is why we aim for 4 as it's more consistent and it deals a great chunk of damage. That said, it is important to do the rotation like this, as if you go yellow, red, it will actually consume more orbs and will only let you do only one rotation even if you have deadline timing. With her dark rotation out of the way, let's talk about her ionization rotation. A quick brief rundown of ionization, aka plasma beam. Charge the effect to the max stack of 1000, indicated by the 1 on the effect gauge, and then the effect can be triggered by a relevant skill to enter the electric storm status. Now unlike her dark rotation, her plasma beam rotation will only be a single rotation and it'll go as follows. Switch in. Blue orb, first signature move, press and hold basic to consume yellow orbs and charge up the ionization effect. Second signature move, swap to Lucia Pyro. Lilith has two different memory sets, a dark set and her plasma beam set. Now truthfully, these vary quite a bit depending on what you want, but in my personal opinion, these sets work best for their intended purpose. Her dark memory set is going to consist of 4-piece Barcelo, which is her signature memory set, on slots 1, 2, 3, and 5, and Kadi on slots 4 and 6. For harmonization, go with Kadi to boost the signature move damage. Now you can also harmonize Guinevere if you want Lilith to be more on the support side rather than sub DPS. However, if you do this, realize that only going for a 2-piece Kadi buff is kinda pointless, so at that point you may as well go for 4-piece Guinevere instead. For memory resonance, on the tops go with any with attack and signature move on the bottoms. Onto her plasma beam memory set. Seeing as she is mainly going to be playing support over here, and is mainly setting up the ionization field for Lucia Pyroth, her optimal set is going to be 4-piece Da Vinci on slots 1, 2, 3, and 5, and Guinevere on slots 4 and 6. For harmonization, go with Wild. For memory resonance, on the tops go with any with attack and class skill on the bottoms. You can also just use this memory set as a general support set, in which case swap out Wild on her Harmonization for Einstania, or go Guinevere. Now when it comes to which memory set you should prioritize the Dark memory set first, since it can be pretty universal regardless. Whereas the Plasma Beam set is pretty much just dedicated to only supporting. Lilith has 3 different teams that I suggest using her on. However, the last one is iffy and depends on investment. Her first team comes as no surprise, given her main element is Dark. She is, of course, best on the Dark team. Ideally, you will run Lamia, Lilith, and Daemonissa Sheer. Now, it should be noted that with Lilith receiving a decent amount of field time, for Sheer's rotation, you will only be doing her leap version, since spinning would waste a bunch of time. And that's DPS that you could be using on Lilith or Lamia instead. Now, if you want more information about Daemonissa Sheer's leap and how it works, make sure to check out my leap guide dedicated to it. Link in the description below. Up next is her Ionization team, where she replaces leaped Daemonissa Sheer for building up stacks of Ionization for Lucia Pyro. In this team, run Lilith, Lucia Pyro, and Nanami Startrail. Why Nana Knight? Because she can shred lightning. This includes the Plasma Beam effect. Now while Nanami's memory set doesn't change at all, her bottom resonance memories change here. So you will need to make a new memory set that's exactly identical, but resonate the bottom memories to class skill instead of signature move. Finally, let's talk about Void Team. Normally, I would instantly recommend this team since it's my favorite. But if Ishmael is SS3 or higher, Lilith and her kit will conflict, so it's better to run a different amplifier instead if you have Ishmael at a higher investment. Now I'm not exactly sure what causes this issue, but nonetheless I recommend running any other amplifier if Ishmael is SS3 or higher. Otherwise, Lilith will slot in just fine. Alright, so if you guys pulled her, like I said at first, and then used her shards to get her to SS, you can then SS her using Pancake Scars. However, I'll still account for some of you probably not doing that, but still included in there in the free-to-play section. So, we have a free SS at minimum Lilith, a free signature weapon, and her cub is also free. I gotta love Kuro games and their generosity. Feels good. Alright, to start, you get her signature weapon for free, use it, obviously. And yes, it is permanent. Now it literally hands you SS, so that should be no problem as well. SS3, which you can get from Pancake, will give Lilith some extra dark radiation, and it's necessary for her Plasma Beam rotation. Finally, as I said earlier, her cub is free, so slap that thing on as well. Low spenders, including everything so far, your next priority is going to be resonating her weapon with deadline timing, so you can do 2 rotations instead of just 1. You can eventually SS her through the voucher shop. Whales, SS is your next goal. Along with that sweet amplifier buff being increased by 100%, the new Gen 3 amplifiers have a new passive that resets QTEs upon switching. This, on top of some more dark radiation, and bonus stuff for her Plasma Beam effect and extra damage. For weapon resonance, on top of deadline timing, prioritize Glorious Spear, and then Superconducting Axial Ray. Finally, Giga Whales. Alongside everything I've listed above, from SS to SS Plus gives basic attack / red orb, core passive, and finally signature move buffs in that order. I can't tell if I like Lilith or hate her. When I first started PGR a little over a year ago and was learning to play the game for the first time, this psycho beat me into the ground more times than I can count. And it was a lot. However, when I finally overcame that wall, and now we have a playable version of Lilith, who is actually incredibly strong for an amplifier, so I don't know what to think. That aside, free-to-plays and low spenders, keep in mind that if you want SS, you can get it through Voucher Shop as I said above. You don't need a swipe to get that SS passive unless you really want it immediately. With that everyone, if the video helped you out, and you want more content like this, then leave a like and hit that subscribe button to be notified of whenever I drop a new video. I have a Discord where you can ask questions, and it's the best way to get a hold of me if you have any questions for me. It's also a good way to meet up with fellow PGR and MUA players, so you should join. With that everyone, have a great rest of your day or night, and I'll catch you on the next one.